Imagine being stripped of your seat at 30,000 feet simply because of how you look. What would you do if a torn boarding pass ignited a chain reaction powerful enough to shake an entire airline? In this story, Harper Sinclair, a trailblazing tech CEO, steps into first class only to face outright prejudice. But what begins as a personal slight soon becomes a calculated revolt against systemic bias. How far would you go to hold an empire accountable? Could one person's courage expose decades of hidden corruption and force an industry-wide reckoning, from secret bribes and covert recordings to a viral hashtag that consumed social media? This isn't just a tale of retaliation, it's a blueprint for transformation. You'll witness corporate boardrooms turned battlegrounds, unseen alliances forged in the shadows, and a single USB drive that unravels a web of discrimination. Will justice prevail in time to change the lives of countless travelers? Join us as we uncover how one woman's unwavering resolve redefined dignity in the skies. If you believe in the power of standing up to injustice, hit like, share, and subscribe. The journey into Harper's fight for equity starts now. The cabin door slid shut behind Harper Sinclair, her heart steady despite the electric tension crackling in the air. Just moments ago, the lead flight attendant had torn apart her ticket, an act so brazen that the polished brass of the first-class cabin seemed to vibrate with it. Now, dressed in charcoal business attire, Harper Sinclair pressed a cool smile onto her face as she stood toe-to-toe with Olivia Kane, Celestia Air's most formidable crew member. Sunlight from Stonewood filtered through the oval windows, illuminating rows of cream leather seats and chilled flutes of champagne set upon gleaming tables. Harper extended her hand, palm up, displaying her boarding pass with serene confidence. The pass read Seat 2A, a window seat she had purchased weeks ago and which her e-receipt confirmed without question. Across from her, Olivia Kane's posture was inflexible, her tightly bound blonde bun making her look like a soldier on parade. "This is first class." "Ma'am," Olivia said, voice clipped. "Economy is that way." She gestured behind Harper with a theatrical tilt of her head, as though inviting a stray dog back to the alley. Harper's eyes remained tranquil. "I'm fully aware I'm in 2A, she replied softly, unwavering. She could feel the stares of wealthy strangers sharpen on her back. But she wouldn't flinch. A subtle click from the heels of a platinum passenger shuffled behind Olivia, and a woman in a cream pantsuit glided forward. The woman's monogrammed purse glinted in the cabin light as she surveyed Harper with thinly veiled contempt. "Must be a mistake," Olivia murmured, yanking the boarding pass from Harper's hand. With one fluid motion, she tore it in two. Bits of paper drifted like confetti to the carpet. "I always book 2A, the woman snapped, voice sharp as a knife. Vivian Porter, the kind of frequent flyer who regarded flight crews as her personal servants and strangers as hurdles to her comfort. "I deserve that window seat. At once." The cabin hushed to a low hum of whispered gossip. One passenger nudged his neighbor. A discreet camera phone flicked on behind a magazine. Harper Sinclair clenched her jaw, recalling the first time the world had laughed at her ambition's 9th grade in Rivergate, the teacher who'd told her girls like you don't end up in college. Every insult had forged her into the steel she was today. Vivian leaned forward, perfume drifting like a challenge. "Who let you in here? This isn't a charity flight." Olivia offered a tight, practiced laugh. "We'll sort it out, but frankly, ma'am, this feels like a security risk." Her words echoed off the overhead bins. A few heads turned away in awkward sympathy. 2 rows back, A young man in a hooded sweatshirt raised his phone. Lens trained on Harper. Jordan Miles, dressed in jeans and a worn denim jacket, looked every bit the unassuming tech worker, but his camera never blinked. "Miss Sinclair, you need to step aside," Olivia said, advancing. "You're upsetting our VIP guests." Harper remained in place, spine straight, voice calm. "I paid for this seat. I have every right to be here." Olivia's lips thinned. "If you don't move, I'll call security." A discreet nod passed between Harper and a woman half hidden behind the curtain, Sophia Reyes, an operations officer in Celestia Air's regional office, her badge gleaming faintly. Sophia slipped back into the shadows, eyes fixed on Harper for a heartbeat before retreating. Harper inhaled slowly, then tapped her smartwatch. A single press and encrypted signal dispatched beneath the terminal floor. Somewhere out of sight, Celestia Air's internal systems flickered to life, messages routed through hidden channels, ready to surface in moments. Vivian never noticed. She examined her nails as if Harper were a blemish on her polished world. "You'll regret this," she hissed. Harper Sinclair tilted her head, meeting Olivia Kane's stare with unwavering calm. "I'll write your future." A ripple of surprise passed down the cabin. The tension soared, as though each whisper contained a spark. Jordan Miles pressed record, fingers steady. His interest wasn't pity, it was recognition. This was the script of prejudice he had seen one too many times. But today, it would end differently. "Security!" Olivia barked into her radio. "Disruptive passenger. Immediate assistance required." Before the word security had left her lips, Harper tapped her watch again. In the bowels of the terminal, hidden monitors blinked red. Sophia Reyes had moved into a maintenance corridor, her tablet lit up with alerts. She forwarded a live feed of Vivian Porter's bribe. An envelope slipped into an executive's hand along with the audio of the confrontation to a secure channel. "Back in the cabin," Olivia bristled. "Step aside, please." Harper raised her voice, measured but firm. "This will be a moment you remember." A few passengers straightened. Some reached for their phones. They sensed that they were witnessing more than a passenger dispute. They were about to watch an empire begin to tremble. "Remove her," Olivia commanded the approaching agents. Two uniformed guards advanced. Harper didn't resist. She moved with the quiet assurance of someone who knew every piece on the board. Phones recorded, voices cracked. The cabin became an amphitheater of moral outrage. As the guards reached for her arms, Harper Sinclair whispered one final instruction to Jordan Miles. "Keep it safe." He ducked beneath the seat and retrieved a sleek black case. In her hand, Harper held the key to their downfall, a silver USB drive containing the evidence of systemic abuse bribes. Memos, logs, all encrypted under the passphrase she had whispered to him earlier. The guards escorted her toward the front exit, but not before every passenger had raised their phone. The hush of power shifted palpably. Celestia Air's veneer of privilege cracked. Once off the plane, Harper Sinclair strode through the terminal like a queen unveiling her gambit. She did not look back. In her wake, the hashtag Celestia Shame was already trending. Videos shot by Jordan Miles and dozens of others spread through the internet like wildfire. Moments later, Harper tapped her watch again. Sophia Reyes, hidden in a secure operations booth, patched the live footage and incriminating audio to every screen on board, "Remove her," and the crumpled ticket were broadcast to shocked first-class passengers. Passengers gasped. Champagne flutes trembled on trays. In under 30 seconds, Celestia Air's executive channels lit up with panic. Onboard systems flickered with the incoming storm of public outrage. The pilot's voice crackled over the PA, but no one listened. The world outside the cabin had just pierced the bubble of entitlement within. By the time Harper Sinclair reached the empty gate lounge, Jordan Miles had uploaded the evidence folder to secure servers, and Sophia Reyes had forwarded it to national media outlets. Celestia Air's crisis had begun. Harper leaned against a stainless steel pillar, phone in hand, breathing in the charged air of victory. This was only the beginning of her campaign. In a few minutes, the board at headquarters would learn that a mere boarding pass dispute had opened doors to a far greater reckoning. And Harper Sinclair, once dismissed by so many, would soon sit at a table where her power was absolute. The cabin hummed with a restless energy, as if every passenger sensed the collision of privilege and principle about to unfold. Harper Sinclair stood rigidly in the aisle, her posture unwavering, every line of her body radiating quiet authority. Across from her, Olivia Kane's phone radio crackled with urgency. "Immediate assistance required," she hissed under her breath. A few seats over, Jordan Miles's camera lens glinted in the overhead light, capturing each flick of contempt on Vivian Porter's face. Vivian rolled her designer sunglasses down her nose and exhaled with disdain. "Is that supposed to scare us?" she mocked, voice dripping with condescension. But in the way Harper held herself, chin lifted, shoulders squared, Vivian recognized that this would not be a simple standoff. "Disruptive passenger in first class," Olivia repeated into the handset, her heels clicking as she turned on her heel. She strode toward the galley, each step a declaration of self-righteous indignation. Her motion was rehearsed, shoulders back, chin high, as though she were mounting a stage. Harper Sinclair remained still. Her breath came even and calm. She knew the script too well, an upscale cabin entitled Travelers, an invisible barrier between those welcomed and those merely tolerated. Only this time she would not be erased. Standards are slipping. Vivian Porter muttered loud enough for nearby passengers to hear, adjusting the lapels of her cream jacket. A ripple of agreement spread through the cabin. One woman leaned to her partner and whispered, "They'd never treat a white man like that." At that moment, the cockpit door swung open, and a broad-shouldered man in slate-gray slacks and a crisp white shirt entered. His ID pin glinted a star insignia denoting authority. Marcus Hale, regional manager of Celestia Air operations, surveyed the scene with practiced detachment. His lips curved into a thin smile that felt colder than the champagne on ice. "This the disturbance?" Marcus Hale asked, voice low but carrying easily through the polished cabin. Olivia Kane nodded briskly. "She refuses to leave the seat, created a scene." I explained the situation. Marcus Hale turned his gaze to Harper Sinclair, measuring her with the same dismissive scrutiny she had endured countless times, boardrooms, client meetings, even casual social gatherings. His eyes flicked over her tailored blazer, her calm expression. "Ma'am, I need you to deplane immediately." Harper met his gaze, unflinching. "I paid for this seat," she said, voice steady. "What exactly am I being accused of?" Vivian Porter interjected, voice high and outraged. "She stole the ticket. I saw her fumbling with it like she didn't even know where to sit." She offered a prim nod, as if that settled the matter. Marcus Hale arched an eyebrow. Proof of purchase, without hesitation. Harper Sinclair swiped through her phone and held up the glowing screen. "Here is my e-receipt confirmed purchase weeks ago. Non-refundable. Seat 2A. He glanced at the screen, then looked away, "We can sort this later," he replied dismissively. "Right now, I'm ordering you off this aircraft." Her lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Are you aware that accusing me of theft is a serious legal matter?" Marcus Hale leaned forward, voice cold. "Stop talking and comply, or you risk permanent banishment from all Celestia Air flights. Understand." A hush fell. Some passengers shifted in their seats. Jordan Miles zoomed in on the faces of Marcus Hale and Vivian Porter, his camera's red light blinking. He knew what this was: systemic prejudice dressed in protocol, in a single motion. Vivian Porter slipped a thick envelope into Marcus Hale's hand, tucking it between two glossy brochures. The transaction was so smooth, so practiced, that only Sophia Reyes, monitoring from the operations corridor via a secure feed, registered the exchange. Her eyes flicked to the screen as a hidden alert blinked from blue to red. Vivian nodded triumphantly. "She's gone," she breathed. Olivia Kane stepped forward. "You heard him. Time to leave, ma'am, even now." Harper Sinclair did not waver. She raised her wrist and tapped the side of her watch. Beneath the terminal, invisible circuits hummed to life. Encryption protocols activated. Hidden streams of data pulsed toward Sophia Reyes's tablet as she seized each packet of evidence. Olivia sneered. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Harper's voice was low and clear. "This isn't just prejudice, it's illegal." A chuckle echoed from Olivia. "Illegal? You're nobody here." "That's where you're wrong," Harper Sinclair replied, stepping closer. She pressed a discreet button on her lapel, a second hidden signal. Instantly, the cabin's speakers crackled. Sophia Reyes had routed live audio into the public address system, Marcus Hale's voice ordering her removal. Vivian Porter's admission of a bribe, every condemning syllable exposed. Gasps and cries rose among the passengers. Phones popped out of pockets as people recorded the scandal in real time. Jordan Miles lifted his camera above the heads, capturing the priceless moment when entitlement collided with accountability. Vivian's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus Hale paled, stepping back as reality fractured around him. "You can't do that," he stammered. Harper Sinclair met his eyes, calm as a still lake. "I already did." The cabin erupted. A sense of collective fury crackled through the air. Olivia Kane froze. Radio clutched in her white-knuckled grip. Harper allowed herself the barest hint of satisfaction. This was more than a personal victory. It was proof that systems of power could be challenged, even at 30,000 feet. Inside the hidden operations room, Sophia Reyes exhaled. She tapped another command, looping the incriminating audio and video to national reporters and social media feeds. In that instant, the world beyond the cabin awoke to Celestia Air's scandal. On the floor of the aircraft, Harper watched the shockwaves ripple outward. Jordan Miles angled his camera toward her, eyes bright with admiration and belief. This brazen act of defiance had ignited something much greater than a viral clip. Passengers began to rise, some in solidarity, others in stunned disbelief. Harper Sinclair tapped her watch one final time. The hidden network beneath them would soon deliver the dossier of evidence to every major newsroom and legal authority. The cabin door slid open as a pair of uniformed guards approached again. Harper took a step back, not out of fear, but to give space for the truth to fill the seats they had once tried to strip from her. And in that charged silence, she knew the fight had only just begun. A tense hush settled over the cabin as Harper Sinclair stood, unmoving, her back straight, her expression calm but unbreakable. Deep within the band of her smartwatch was an invisible sentinel, a microphone that had recorded every word spoken since she first crossed into first class. Now the cabin speakers crackled as Sophia Reyes rerouted that audio, feeding it live into the cabin's sound system. A low murmur rippled through the rows. Passengers exchanged startled glances. Was this authorized? The ceiling vents whispered with the hum of an aircraft in flight, yet the atmosphere felt charged, electric. A designer scarf fluttered in a clipped breeze as someone inadvertently leaned into an overhead vent. Champagne flutes trembled on their trays like worried teeth. Through the static, Marcus Hale's voice echoed, "Remove her." "She's gone." Then Vivian Porter's clip followed. "She probably stole the ticket." The dissonant chorus froze everyone. Phones instinctively tilted upward, recording. Even the oldest business traveler, a gray-headed man 2 rows ahead, paused mid-sip with a silver flute halfway to his lips. Olivia Kane whirled toward the cockpit door, heart pounding as her radio went dead. Rebelled by a technology she thought under her control, she gaped. Who patched that in from a booth 30 feet away? At that very moment, in a maintenance corridor below, Sophia Reyes's tablet glowed red. She had looped the brief but damning exchange where Vivian Porter slipped a bulging envelope into Marcus Hale's hand, then replayed Marcus murmuring, "We'll handle her after we accept the bribe." The cabin speakers flared with the clip again, louder this time, leaving no room for doubt. A stunned hush was broken by a crisp voice in row 4A. A middle-aged woman with a silk scarf around her neck pointed at Marcus Hale and barked, "No, you bribed someone." "That's what I heard." A ripple of affirmation surged through the cabin. 2 rows back, Jordan Miles' camera rose in salute, catching the woman's glare. Harper Sinclair remained the eye of the storm. She caught Olivia Kane's frantic gaze and whispered, "Just loud enough for her. Still think I'm nobody." Olivia opened her mouth, but no words came. In the aisles, phones lifted in unison like torches calling down a mob. The first-class cabin, once a sanctuary of whispered deals and genteel distractions, now buzzed with outrage. A teenage girl live-streamed from her seat. "They kicked me out 'cause I'm black. This is insane. Look at Harper. She's not raising her voice, but she's got us all." Marcus Hale's voice crackled from a dead radio. He barked into his walkie, "Shut it down. Cut the feed." But it was too late. The world outside was already watching. A pair of uniformed guards appeared at the cabin entrance like the reapers of consequence. Their polished shoes tapped an anxious rhythm on the aisle's red carpet. Vivian Porter leaned back smugly, arms crossed, as if this were still her performance. Olivia Kane straightened her vest, launching into a monologue about policy violations, but her words were drowned out by the crescendo of cameras. The guards approached Harper Sinclair. They did not manhandle her at first, an intentional courtesy, but their grips on her arms tightened enough to bruise if held long. Her phone slipped into her pocket as she turned her head, eyes fixed on Jordan Miles. "5," she said evenly. "My bag." He obeyed without hesitation, ducking beneath the leather-clad seat to retrieve the small black crossbody case. He handed it to her. Vivian cackled. "She thinks she's royalty now." But Harper Sinclair did not flinch. She offered no resistance. She needed none. Each step toward the exit became a tableau of dignity and motion. Cameras swirled. The hum of outrage swelled to a roar. Marcus Hale followed behind, voice shaking as he tried to reclaim authority. "You'll be hearing from our legal team," he spat. "I look forward to it," Harper said, pausing at the door. Then, in a single fluid gesture, She tossed a slender silver USB, no larger than a car key, into Jordan Miles's outstretched hand. The guards hesitated, uncertain whether to snatch it away, but Vivian Porter inadvertently blocked them with an agitated step. Jordan caught the drive instinctively. Harper inclined her head once, a respectful nod to the passenger who had wielded his camera like a sword. Then she stepped onto the jet bridge and walked into a corridor of bright lights and stunned onlookers. Behind her, the cabin erupted. Some passengers cheered, voices rising like a wave crashing into the aisle. Others sat frozen, mouths agape as reality fractured around them. Olivia Kane remained rooted at the threshold, radio dead, dignity in tatters. Vivian Porter fanned herself with a concession voucher, fury and fear warping her features. Outside the plane, the tarmac workers paused mid-stride, smartphones held aloft. Jordan Miles exhaled and tapped live next to Thang's Celestia shame. Within seconds, the feed spiked to thousands of viewers. Sophia Reyes, still in the hidden operations booth, exhaled. She transmitted the audio and video files she'd secured to 3 major newsrooms and Aisha's encrypted backup server just in case. In one silent push, the story fractured Celestia Air's carefully curated image. Moments later, Marcus Hale appeared in the doorway of the jet bridge. Disheveled, he muttered something about protocol. No one listened. Vivian Porter looked at him, eyes wide. Harper Sinclair had already vanished into the terminal, swallowed by the crowd, but followed by a tail of thousands online. In that suspended instant, the first-class cabin had become a crucible of transformation. Privilege had met accountability. Arrogance had tasted exposure, and dignity had held its ground. What began as an unjust ticket tear concluded with a revolution of transparency. And for Jordan Miles, Sophia Reyes, and the passengers who raised their phones, it was a moment they would never forget, a moment proof that even at 30,000 feet, injustice could be unmasked, and ordinary people could become architects of change. As the boarding bridge retracted and the cabin lights dimmed, the hum of outrage gave way to a solemn hush. Somewhere in the terminal, Harper Sinclair prepared her next move, already shaping the fallout that would shatter Celestia Air's world. Harper Sinclair stood at the threshold of the jet bridge, the final embers of confrontation flickering behind her. Far from the prying eyes of the first-class cabin, she exhaled, releasing the tension that had held her like armor. In her palm, Jordan Miles's slender silver USB glinted under the terminal lights, the key to exposing decades of concealed prejudice. Behind them, Marcus Hale's furious voice echoed down the corridor. "Give that back," he demanded, lunging forward. But Jordan Miles, quick as lightning, slipped behind a cluster of passengers, shielding the drive with his body. Vivian Porter's eyes darted between them, panic and rage warring in her features. Harper raised a calm hand to the guards at her sides. "You may release me now." The guards hesitated, confusion etched on their faces, until Marcus Hale snapped a curt nod. They backed away, reluctant. Harper Sinclair smoothed her coat sleeve, letting the fabric fall to reveal a slim silver pin at her lapel, a symbol no one yet recognized but soon would. As the guards melted into the crowd, Harper moved through the lounge toward Gate C3, once whispered in elite circles as the exit for VIP travelers. Passengers parted respectfully, their murmurs trailing behind her like water flowing around a rock. She passed families clutching carry-ons, executives pecking at emails, and tourists with circled maps. None could ignore the trail of smartphones facing her path. At a quiet corner table, Jordan Miles slid into a seat and opened his laptop. He plugged the USB into the port, and a prompt blinked on the screen, Star Air Records encrypted zip. He hesitated briefly, the weight of what he was about to unleash settling in his chest, then typed the passphrase whispered by Harper Justice 21. The folder burst open, revealing audio files of Marcus Hale ordering her removal, memos scheduling seat downgrades based on passenger appearance, and staff chat logs mocking black travelers. Each document was time-stamped, signed, and corroborated. He scrolled through transaction logs showing bribes to flight attendants, spreadsheet macros that flagged non-conforming passengers, and email threads outlining quotas for quiet removal incidents. His fingers trembled as he clicked Upload. Within seconds, the encrypted dossier began its ascent to secure servers monitored by major news outlets and legal watchdogs. Meanwhile, Harper Sinclair strode through the terminal, her phone buzzing with alerts. A headline from Celestia Air's official app blinked red. Celestia, shame goes viral. CNN, Fox 2, and social feeds were ablaze. Tweets flew by. Tech CEO denied seat brought airline to its knees. Racial profiling at 30K FT exposed. Corporate scandal vendor fights back. In under 12 minutes, Jordan Miles's 7-minute clip had amassed over 1 million views. The looped footage of the torn boarding pass, the bribe slip, and Marcus Hale's threats dominated every feed. Vivian Porter's smug smirk when she confiscated the envelope. Olivia Kane's curt nod to security it all replayed in endless cycles. At gate B12, Sophia Reyes sat in a secure operations booth beneath the terminal, surrounded by data streams and monitors. When Harper's dossier arrived, Sophia didn't hesitate. She segmented the file's audio clips for broadcast news, chat logs for investigative journalists, and memos for civil rights groups. With a few keystrokes, she forwarded each package to 3 major networks and encrypted backups to Harper's private server. Back in the lounge, Harper paused before the baggage claim area. Travelers circled the carousel, hoping to spot their bags. None could miss her confident silhouette. She smoothed the lapels of her blazer, lifted her chin, and allowed herself a small, private smile. This was more than vindication. It was a catalyst for systemic change. As she retrieved her suitcase, her phone dinged with a message from Sophia Reyes, S. CNN just ran the story. Fox 2 is live in 5. Board in emergency session. Another ping, J. My upload just hit the dark web archive. Legal teams already pulling files. Harper tapped back a single word. Yes. Then she typed, Proceed to Terminal 4. Moments later, terminal screens flickered to a live news bulletin breaking Celestia Air under federal investigation. Anonymous whistleblower releases 24 files outlining years of internal wrongdoing. Passenger removed from first-class seat, now identified as the CEO of Novatech Solutions vendor with critical stake in airline systems. Crowds around the monitors gasped. Lawyers in suits paused mid-stride. Reporters snapped cameras. Executives ducked into offices. The terminal floor seemed to vibrate with the tremors of a corporate earthquake. At precisely 10:41 a.m. local time, Graham Langford, CEO of Celestia Air, pounded his fist on the table in the Oval Conference Room, high above Crestview. The glass walls framed a panorama of city streets where taxis moved like ants, indifferent to the crisis unfolding above. His knuckles turned white. One seat, he growled. One damned seat could ruin us. Beside him, Marcus Hale sat drained, sweat beading at his hairline. He managed a weak retort. She staged it, cameras planted. No one would believe us. But even as he spoke, another chime sounded on his phone. Novatech shares were plunging. Board members leapt to their smartphones, faces grim. Back at Terminal 4, Harper Sinclair entered a private lounge where Jordan Miles was already waiting. His map app pinged an arrival marker. She offered him a grateful nod. His unwavering support a testament to ordinary courage meeting extraordinary circumstance. "Good work," Harper said quietly. "Ready for the next move?" He slipped her a tablet showing a live feed of the emergency board meeting, graphs of stock plunges, email alerts from regulatory agencies, and hashtags streaming across social platforms. Legal teams were assembling. News vans were lining up at the headquarters plaza. "I'm always ready," he replied. Harper Sinclair closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. She was alone now, but not isolated. Around the globe, people watched and waited, buoyed by her resilience. She straightened, envelope secured in her bag, her resolve rock solid. This was the opening gambit of a campaign to rewrite the rules. As they stepped out of the lounge, a news anchor's voice drifted through the terminal. In a stunning turn of events, the passenger who sparked this national scandal is none other than the CEO of Novatech Solutions, Celestia Air's own vendor. Sources confirm a federal inquiry has been launched. "We'll bring you live coverage from the boardroom shortly." Passengers stopped in their tracks, staring at Harper and Jordan as though they were protagonists in a movie. Some nodded with approval, others simply stared, mouths agape. Harper Sinclair offered a slight, dignified bow. Then she turned and walked toward the escalators, each step a signal that the real showdown lay ahead. Behind her, Celestia Air's world was unraveling, and Harper was already scripting its redemption. The tension in the Celestia Air executive conference room was palpable, like static before a storm. Graham Langford sat at the head of the long oval table, fists braced against the polished wood as if they could anchor him to sanity. His phone buzzed again, another alert of the airline's stock plummeting. The ticker on the big screen behind him flashed in red, 22% in 36 minutes. "It's being blown out of proportion," Graham rasped, trying to steady his voice. He jabbed a finger down the table for emphasis. She staged it. Cameras were planted, mics hidden. She even had her receipt cut like Emily Thornton said. Confirmed ticket, confirmed seat, and the feed. "The whole cabin heard you." A ripple of agreement rustled through the board members. Marcus Hale leaned forward, pale and sweating. His voice cracked under pressure. "We just got the update. She's Harper Sinclair, CEO of Novatech Solutions." The room went silent. Vivian Porter, appearing on the conference's video feed from her luxury villa in Florida, flicked her perfectly curled hair and sneered, "She's nobody," she insisted, lips painted with a practiced confidence. "This will pass. We deny it. Blame the editing. Call it an AI deepfake. These things fade." Across from Vivian, Emily Thornton narrowed her eyes. "You bribed an operations manager on camera," she said flatly. Vivian blinked, as though the words had just found her ears. She leaned forward, palms pressed to her marble-topped table. "That was hacking," she spat. "It wasn't hacking," Emily shot back. "It was strategy. At that." Arjun Desai, ever the pragmatist, perked up. "Our booking software, routing systems, internal comms, all powered by Novatech code," he reminded them. "If she pulls the plug, our systems crash. She doesn't need to be on board to ground this airline." Vivian bristled. "She's grandstanding." Graham drew in a breath. He flicked to his phone and opened the email he had received 15 minutes ago. His voice dropped to a low growl as he read aloud, "You have 2 hours. Meet me at Celestia Air headquarters or I release everything. Every transaction, every memo, every buried complaint, your move." A storm of panic swept the room. Marcus Hale slumped in his chair. "She's bluffing," he muttered. "No one believes she has access." Emily Thornton raised an eyebrow. "Then why do reporters already have internal chat logs and payout records?" Vivian Porter leaned closer to the camera, locking eyes with the execs face to face. "Don't you dare cave to her," she warned. "We can outlast this." Arjun Desai's tone sharpened. "Do you want to go down with this ship?" Graham Langford stared out the floor-to-ceiling windows at Crestview's bustling streets below, as if the crawling taxis could offer solace. He nodded once, curtly. "Fine," he said at last. "We'll meet her 5 floors below," in a dimly lit operations suite. Sophia Reyes sat before a wall of monitors. Her intrusion software, installed quietly 3 years ago during a system integration test, was now flashing with alerts offshore accounts. Bonus discrepancies, slush funds labeled customer reconciliation, all tied to Marcus Hale and 2 other senior executives who had thought themselves untouchable. She tapped her secure line. "Files are clean, ready for board review." Then, a moment later, she forwarded a final package to Harper Sinclair, the complete liability index. Back in the boardroom, Graham Langford's inbox pinged. He opened the attachment, a spreadsheet of Vivian Porter's upgrade reimbursements, half-coded as comped for disruption, followed by Marcus Hale's authorization of falsified misconduct reports on over 40 minority passengers. The next tab revealed internal emails between Olivia Kane and her supervisor, mocking passengers by skin tone and plotting accidental downgrade tactics. Silence reigned. Arjun Desai stood. "If this goes public, we're finished." Vivian Porter's voice rose to a shrill pitch. "She hacked us." Emily Thornton shook her head. "She used our own systems against us. That's not hacking. That's execution." Marcus Hale croaked, "You need to back me up." Graham Langford fixed him with a steely gaze. "No, you're finished." Moments later, the grand elevator doors chimed open. Harper Sinclair stepped into the marble atrium of Celestia Air headquarters, her charcoal gray suit impeccable. Each footstep echoed like a verdict being delivered. She carried no entourage, only her phone and unwavering resolve. The receptionist froze, eyes widening. "Ms. Sinclair," she said. Harper nodded. "Graham Langford is expecting me." Her voice was calm, controlled like the eye of a hurricane. Back in the conference room, Graham Langford closed the liability index file with a slow, decisive click. "She wins either way," he muttered, half to himself. Vivian Porter spat into her camera. "We destroy the files, leak counter documents, smear her reputation." Emily Thornton leaned forward, voice flat. She already sent them to the press. The room fell silent. A single chime echoed as Graham's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, listened, and paled. "She's here." Harper Sinclair strode through a long hallway, the polished floors reflecting her determined silhouette. Portraits of past CEOs lined the walls, men whose legacies now trembled at her feet. At the double doors of the boardroom, she paused, smoothing her sleeves. Then, with measured confidence, she pushed them open. All eyes turned. Graham Langford rose, pale-faced but composed. Vivian Porter pressed her palms to the camera feed and mouthed, "Don't cave." Marcus Hale's shoulders slumped. Olivia Kane and Arjun Desai exchanged anxious glances. Emily Thornton's expression was inscrutable. Harper Sinclair entered with the quiet authority of someone whose path was unassailable. She crossed to the head of the table and placed a slender black folder upon the polished surface. Her silver pin caught the overhead lights, a symbol awaiting recognition. "Good morning," she began, voice steady. "You have 2 hours." A taut silence settled. Graham Langford cleared his throat. "Ms. Sinclair, we—" She held up a hand. "The folder contains every memo, audio file, transaction log, and internal chat you've tried to bury. It also contains terms for resolution." He glanced at the folder, then met her eyes. "What terms?" Her gaze swept the room, resting briefly on each executive. "First," she said, "Marcus Hale, you are relieved of all duties effective immediately." She looked to Olivia Kane. "You will be suspended pending investigation." Then to Vivian Porter via video. "Your platinum privileges and your seat at this table are revoked." Arjun Desai leaned forward. "And the rest of us, Emily Thornton. You will oversee an independent audit of Celestia Air's policies and systems publicly published within 1 week." She turned to Graham Langford. "And you will announce a partnership with Novatech Solutions to implement real-time equity monitoring across your fleet. Or by tomorrow morning. I release every file I have to regulators and the public." A hush. Then Graham exhaled. "Send me the papers." Harper Sinclair allowed herself the smallest of nods. The first move had been played and won. A tense hush fell over the boardroom as the double doors swung open. On the threshold stood Harper Sinclair, her charcoal-gray suit immaculate, her gaze unwavering. No announcement was needed. Her presence alone commanded every eye in the room. Executives straightened, physiognomies shifting from defiance to resignation. At the head of the polished oval table, Graham Langford rose, voice scarcely more than a whisper. "Ms. Sinclair." She inclined her head politely. "Thank you for having me." A quiet power emanated from her. Vivian Porter's face contorted in disbelief on the video feed. Marcus Hale's shoulders tensed. Olivia Kane bit her lip, clutching her notes. Emily Thornton and Arjun Desai exchanged glances, calculating. Harper Sinclair moved forward and placed a sleek black folder in the center of the table. "Please, sit," she said gently, but firmly. Graham sank back onto his chair and gestured to the seat opposite him. Every executive watched the folder like a detonator ready to explode. Vivian Porter hissed through her screen, "You have no right barging in here." Harper met her gaze with cool precision. "Unlike you, I earned this seat. And unlike you, I don't have to buy silence." Murmurs rippled around the room. Marcus Hale folded his arms defensively. "This is a stunt." Harper Sinclair opened the folder, revealing neatly organized documents. Inside, you'll find every transaction, internal memo, and discriminatory report buried under your watch, proof of bribery, customer fraud, systemic profiling. She slid the top sheet toward Graham Langford, a digital signature from Marcus Hale approving discretionary downgrades based on appearance. This wasn't a single incident. Harper continued. Voice measured, it was policy. And now? It's public. Vivian Porter's face drained of color. "That's slander," she protested. Harper glanced at Emily Thornton. "I've already briefed federal regulators," Emily confirmed. The only question is whether you want to survive as a company? Arjun Desai cleared his throat. So what do you propose? Harper's eyes swept the room. First, Marcus Hale. You are terminated effective immediately. Your actions have disgraced this airline. He leaped from his chair. You can't do that. She offered him a small, unwavering smile. Try me. Turning to Olivia Kane, she continued, you will be suspended pending a full investigation. Olivia swallowed. My reputation revoked. Harper interrupted gently. Your conduct breached every standard you were tasked to uphold. On the video feed, Vivian Porter gasped. You can't dictate terms in here, Harper looked to Graham Langford. And Vivian Porter, your platinum contract is cancelled today. Your privileges revoked. Vivian's protests died on her lips as Emily Thornton chimed in. And the public record will reflect why. At the far end of the table, Graham rubbed his temples. His voice was hollow, and the rest of us, Harper turned to Emily Thornton. You will oversee an independent anti-bias audit published in full within 7 days. Then she addressed Graham directly. Lastly, you will enter a partnership with Novatech Solutions to implement Fairfly, my real-time passenger equity platform, across your entire fleet, immediate integration, or by morning. I release every file in this folder to regulators and the public. A charged silence followed. Graham Langford closed his eyes and exhaled. Send me the papers, he said quietly. Chloe Nguyen appeared on the screen behind Harper, dressed in sleek navy. Her clear voice cut through the tension. Good morning. I wish the circumstances were different, but Fairfly is ready for immediate deployment. Pressure testing is complete. Harper turned to Graham. Fairfly monitors tone, seat assignments, upgrade requests, and flags discriminatory behavior for human review. It's the industry standard going forward. Graham nodded numbly, scanning Chloe Nguyen's calm expression. He reached for his pen. Let's begin the paperwork. The room exhaled collectively. Marcus Hale stalked out without another word. Olivia Kane gathered her notes. Shoulders slumped. Vivian Porter's screen blinked off in a final insult. Arjun Desai leaned back, relief flickering across his face. That was decisive. Emily Thornton tapped her tablet, already drafting the audit timelines. This is only the beginning. Harper Sinclair allowed herself a hint of a smile. She turned toward Graham Langford. Now, we talk about the future. He met her gaze. What do you want? Harper stepped to the whiteboard at the room's end. In clean handwriting, she wrote, Internal Anti-Bias Audit, Public. Passenger Equity Council. 50% Communities of Color. Independent Ethics Officer Appointment. Quarterly Verified Anti-Discrimination Training. She faced the room. And I will oversee the first audit, or appoint someone I trust. Graham swallowed hard, nodding. Me, or someone you appoint. They exchanged a look, a pact sealed by necessity and truth. As the executives filed out, Harper Sinclair and Chloe Nguyen remained. Chloe offered a supportive nod. Welcome aboard, Harper replied softly. Thank you. Let's ensure dignity travels with every passenger. They stepped out together, leaving behind a boardroom already reshaped by accountability. The Fairfly initiative had begun, and with it, a new era for Celestia Air. The boardroom fell into a profound stillness as Graham Langford reached for his pen and placed it against the signature line. Send me the papers, he declared. Voice grave but resolute. Harper Sinclair offered a calm nod. You're making the right decision, she affirmed, her gaze sweeping the table. Emily Thornton lifted her eyes. Is there anything else she asked? Harper's tone softened. You owe it to the passengers you hurt, the employees you ignored, and the communities you excluded, with measured grace. She lifted her phone and tapped a final message. Within moments, every major news outlet splashed the headline across its front page, Celestia Air. Accepts accountability. Partners with Novatech Solutions and Horizon Travel to launch equity overhaul. This announcement marked not an end, but the dawn of transformation. 3 weeks after the storm, Celestia Air was unrecognizable. The hushed whispers of favoritism were replaced by glass-walled strategy sessions. Diversity audit findings adorned every department's dashboard. A comprehensive training schedule, Bias Doesn't Fly, was printed on each break room's bulletin board. Though Harper Sinclair held no official seat on the board, she occupied an office 3 floors below the executive suite, her name etched in chrome beside the door. She had declined any formal title. Results mattered far more than ceremony. The first program she rolled out bore the unmistakable bluntness of her style. Bias Doesn't Fly mandated real-time scenario training for every employee, from gate agents to directors. No lifeless slideshows, no generic HR films. Instead, immersive role plays led by civil rights educators, psychologists, and equity designers. Harper sat at the back of each session, silent but watchful, gauging staff reactions and refining the curriculum. Initial resistance was inevitable. Some flight attendants scoffed at the idea, rolling their eyes when colleagues returned from training, recounting uncomfortable exercises. Others feared a publicity stunt, warning each other to keep skepticism private. Yet when the first cadre of gate agents, once the most cynical, passed the evaluation with flying colors and earned promotions, doubts began to dissolve. Word spread change was real. Jordan Miles, elevated to Celestia Air's Public Transparency Council, monitored the shift firsthand. In his inaugural live Q&A session, a viewer asked why he stayed. His response was simple but profound. If someone like Harper Sinclair believes this place can change, who am I to doubt it? Behind the scenes, Harper and her engineering team at Novatech Solutions accelerated development of FairFly, a cloud-based AI platform designed to monitor passenger interactions industry-wide. From check-in counters to in-flight service, FairFly flagged behavioral patterns, analyzed tone in audio recordings, and detected discrepancies in seat upgrades. Every alert triggered a human review. No machine verdict stood alone. The initiative was bold and controversial. Delta and United Airlines initially resisted integration, citing operational complexity and privacy concerns. But when Chloe Nguyen, CEO of Horizon Travel, rolled out FairFly across her own fleet and published the system's metrics, the tide turned. Civil rights organizations, travel associations, and customer advocacy groups rallied, pressuring competitors to follow suit. Harper Sinclair convened a nationwide press conference at a nondescript venue. Standing behind a simple podium, no logos, no frills, she delivered her message with clarity. This isn't about punishment, it's about prevention. FairFly isn't here to cancel anyone. It's here to ensure dignity travels with every passenger. The impact was immediate. Airlines branded themselves as equity forward. Ticket sales in FairFly-enabled markets surged. Independent watchdogs lauded the transparency, calling it a watershed moment for travel ethics. Within days, Celestia Air was hailed as a model, winning the National Aviation Ethics Award, a distinction previously reserved for purely humanitarian efforts. Employees across the company began sharing their redemption stories. Gate agents recounted moments when they caught themselves slipping into biased assumptions and corrected course. Flight crews described newfound pride in serving passengers as people, not protocols. The culture shift wasn't instantaneous, but undeniable. Late one afternoon, Harper retreated to her office overlooking Crestview's skyline. She watched dashboards charting complaint rates plunging and satisfaction scores climbing. She didn't need applause. The system's performance spoke volumes. A gentle breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the hum of a city that had, at least in part, embraced progress. She reached for her phone and sent a brief note to Sophia Reyes. "Thank you for everything," Sophia replied instantly. "Couldn't have done it without you." Harper set the phone aside. There were always more battles to fight, more systems to refine, more voices to empower. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. A single boarding pass altercation had cascaded into a movement proof that one voice, resolute and prepared, could reshape an entire industry. As dusk settled over the city, Harper Sinclair looked to the horizon. Knowing that the journey toward equity was ongoing, and that she would lead it with unwavering resolve, 6 months had passed since the confrontation that shook Celestia Air to its core. What was once an airline synonymous with hushed prejudices and closed-door excuses had transformed into an exemplar of accountability and redemption. Vivian Porter's lavish privileges were gone, her platinum contract voided, her country club membership revoked, her name quietly blacklisted by luxury brands. Where she once commanded spaces, now she drew only whispered distance. An industry magazine ran a feature headlined "The Fall of Platinum Porter," and even she could not suppress its reach. Marcus Hale, once the formidable face of operations, had been unceremoniously demoted to a drab desk near the copier in a small logistics firm on the outskirts of Rivergate. His corner office replaced by harsh fluorescent lights and the hum of photocopiers. He endured sidelong glances filled not with fear, but with embarrassment. His resume, once a testament to leadership, now served as a cautionary tale. And Olivia Kane, the flight attendant who first humiliated Harper Sinclair, had exited aviation altogether. She spent her days in quiet service at a local food pantry, unrecognized, her past unasked. Into this changing landscape. A letter arrived at Harper Sinclair's desk, postmarked "No return address." Inside, no name, just a short, earnest note. "I was wrong. I see it now. If there's still a place for people who want to make it right, I'd like to try." Harper folded the note, set it beside a folder labeled "Second Chance," then turned her gaze to the skyline stretching beyond her office window. She had conceived the Second Chance program not to erase the past, but to guide those who truly sought growth. Partnering with training centers, counseling services, and stipends for former Celestia Air employees, the initiative extended pathways for redemption, transforming complicity into contribution. At the helm of this initiative stood Jordan Miles, now the youngest director of passenger equity in Celestia Air's history. At the annual Aviation Inclusion Summit, he addressed a packed hall. "This isn't just about righting wrongs," he declared, voice steady and impassioned. "It's about never repeating them." Under Harper's quiet leadership, Celestia Air had not merely survived its reckoning, it had evolved. Passenger satisfaction soared, complaint rates plummeted, and, most importantly, the public once again believed in the brand's commitment to dignity. At the 25th Global Airline Expo, Celestia Air was honored with the Human Dignity and Service Award, accepting on Harper Sinclair's behalf Sophia Reyes, now Vice President of Systems Ethics, received the accolade with humble pride. Harper herself was absent, for she had journeyed to Atlanta to witness another triumph. There, beside a group of high school students at a sunlit tarmac, Harper watched as they boarded a Horizon travel jet under a new scholarship program. Most had never flown before. This initiative, Fly Equal, was Harper's personal endeavor, a quietly funded global fund providing flights, training stipends, and second chances for underserved travelers, employees, and aspiring aviation professionals. In 6 months, over 130 individuals had gained access to opportunities that had once seemed unreachable, and none knew the extent of Harper's patronage. As the final students stepped aboard, a girl of 15 paused and looked back. "Are you coming with us?" Harper smiled softly. "I've already been where you're going. Now it's your turn." The door closed. A breeze tugged at her coat's hem. She lifted her gaze to the ascending aircraft, then turned to walk back toward the terminal step by careful step into the future she was determined to build. For Harper Sinclair, justice was never about revenge. It was about progress. One voice, steady, brave, and prepared, had grounded a system built on prejudice and launched an entire generation into flight. As the dust settles, what remains is more than an airline's redemption. It's the affirmation that progress is possible when conscience meets action. Harper Sinclair didn't seek glory. She demanded accountability, turning closed-door whispers into transparent policies. From immersive anti-bias training to the revolutionary Fairfly platform, her quiet leadership sparked a cultural shift so profound that Celestia Air became a global model for equity. Lives were changed, former critics found paths to redemption. Passengers regained faith in air travel, and an entire industry learned that dignity can no longer be compromised. What will you take from this story? Will you challenge the status quo in your own world? Remember, real change starts with one voice refusing to stay silent. If Harper's journey moved you, show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and ring the bell so you never miss a story that inspires us all to soar higher.